Welcome back to another edition of Watching the Game. I'm your host, as always, Odeh, joined by my boys, Idrees and Yunis. Let's not waste too much time. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, we're right at the midpoint in the NFL season, and let's just say it's the year of parity in the NFL, except for the Rams, obviously, super team out there, out west, but they don't even have the best record in the NFL, so what gives? Um, so today we had the freaking useless Seahawks get shut out by the Packers. Very smooth. Pete Carroll, terrible coach. Carried by Russell Wilson all these years, but what else
They
is
should
new?
have just accepted this. You're getting more and more obvious as the season goes on. They should have accepted the trade over the offseason for Russell Wilson and just start the rebuild. Like,
It's facts.
they've got to
And I feel
rebuild.
like that game was just, for us to get back into the flow, get the rust off Wilson. He hasn't been throwing for about 4 weeks, and I would give him a break. Green Bay's defense did play well, and it was below like 40 degrees in Lambeau, so I'd relax a bit. He'll definitely bounce back next week.
Yeah, but the team is bad. I understand.
But
The
rust
NF,
makes the team better,
I mean,
so they'll definitely play better next week.
they're 3-6, but every 3-6 team in the NFC is like still in the playoff hunt. I mean, like you got, I mean, the Rams and the Cardinals both only two losses. I think the Rams, as long as they win tomorrow, they'll be 8-2. Cardinals are 8-2. Those two are like assured playoff
Green
spots.
Bay too.
Green Bay, it would be they're 4 games, what, four, 3.5 games ahead in the division. Would be a big upset if they somehow lost it. Same with Dallas, and then the Buccaneers are only a game and a half ahead of the Saints. I think the Saints are what, 5-5, 5-4.
Yeah, 5-4.
I mean, that one is actually close. Well, they're only one game ahead actually, so that one's closer. But it would be like really surprising if any of these teams that aren't winning the division right now or win the division later. But then like you look at the 6th seed, the 7th seed, it's like, all right, you got 4-win Vikings, you got 5-win Panthers, 5-win Saints, 4-win Falcons. Um,
Then we have to worry about the Falcons after today.
you got the 3-win Bears, 3-win 49ers, 3-win Seahawks. I mean, the only teams that I would say are like completely out of it are like the Lions, and that's it. I mean, you got the 15 seeded team in the NFC could still snag the final wild card spot.
I guess you're right.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like some of them obviously have better chances than the others. Like what the hell, the Falcons? Oof! How the hell did that happen? They lost by
Like,
40.
Surprising to believe. Lost by
yeah,
40 and they have 4 wins. Surprising.
absolutely dominated.
It isn't even like, bro, the Cowboys are good, but they're not beat you by 40 good. That's just, bro, that's like a. That's what happens when you trade away Julio Jones. I'm just kidding. That's what happens when you only get. When you start Olamide Zacchaeus the week after he goes off and then he gets you 1 point in fantasy football. That's just very fun.
This is okay, dude.
It's not funny, man. DeAndre Hopkins. I keep having to sub out DeAndre Hopkins last minute. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
This is the effects of Calvin Ridley having to take a step away from football.
Man, I woke up this morning and it was like 11:30 and I was like, "Oh crap, I've set my lineups." And then I see DeAndre Hopkins unlikely to play. I'm like, "What the hell?" It's racism.
It's just same racism.
I'm sick of this. Oh, another thing, mid-season takeaway. Fuck the NFL referees, man. I'm getting sick of this.
They're so
Straight
bad.
up, man. Like, especially this last week, this last 7 days, you had the. Oh my god. I said this. If we recorded, like, right after the Bears Steelers Monday night game, our podcast would be removed. I would have said some stuff that literally, like, not appropriate for anyone. Oof.
So to all of our audience, I mean, you should be grateful that me and Aoda prevented this from happening.
Oh my, like, bro, I have watched the Bears for what, like 12 years or something, 10, whatever. I don't think I've reacted that, like, I haven't been that loud reacting to a Bears game. Except, like, maybe a playoff game. But even that, it was just ridiculous. Every single possession, literally every single possession, there was one bogus call against the Bears. Every single possession.
And then it peaked at the taunting call.
Oh my god, just everything about that. And then,
I mean,
or the offside, the bogus offsides calls. Like, you kept calling offsides, and it was like, okay, but the Steelers have their heads over the line of scrimmage too. Come on, you're gonna not call that? Roughing the
It would be like
passer.
their freaking. It would be like their fingernail over the line of scrimmage, and they'd call it.
Or Jalen Johnson hits the ball while playing defense, all pass interference. 10 points. 10 points all straight attributed to the referees that game. The Bears go from winning by 8 to losing by 2. Instead of being 4-5 and right there in the playoff hunt, they're 3-6 and have the worst record in the NFC outside the Lions. Just so bogus. Justin Fields deserved a win.
I feel like
You
the
know, the
only
Steelers
way
suck.
the
They
Bears are
literally
going to
tied
get...
with the Lions today. Like,
Oh my god.
Steelers did not deserve to win that game.
It was funny.
I mean, they're
too, 'cause
definitely not as strong as you think. Because, I mean, if you look at their performance today, even though they did not have Big Ben, I mean, their whole team just played terribly.
it's funny too because, like, this morning the NFL was like, "Oh yeah, we messed up a bunch of calls against the Bears," and I was like, "Yeah, you think?" And then what they did in overtime, they made 2 bogus calls against the Steelers that put the Lions in field goal range. They were like, "Oh look, see, we're trying to make it up." It's like, I don't care. I don't want you to make it up by making bogus calls against the Steelers in a much different game. I want you to freaking make the right calls. Khalas. Nonetheless, the game ended in a tie. The
The refs should be able to like get fined and like disciplined. Like some of the calls are just unacceptable.
And then there was,
Or they should just have refs with over 20 years of experience retire.
or they should
Grant's
have
too old for this.
freaking Skycam dude who can easily change terrible calls. That was the easiest solution. They have it. They had it in the AAF. They had it in the XFL, but the NFL won't do it. It's ridiculous. And then you had like the Ravens-Dolphins game. It didn't end up changing anything, but there were like 3 bogus calls on one drive to get the Ravens back in that game. and then today, when the Saints lost to the Titans 23-21, the Saints got a pick in the end zone, taken away by roughing the passer.
Which was a bogus call. Hit him on like the nameplate.
Like, come on. Just changing games. We need to stop with that. Anyway, just fire the refs. That's all I'm gonna say. Something else I found funny. The Chiefs. So everyone was talking about after September, the Chiefs were like at the bottom of the division. Now they're at the top of the division. So don't think that is something to be too worried about anymore. I mean, they just crushed the Raiders easily.
406 and 5 touchdowns. Mahomes is back or no?
I mean, you can do that again next week, then we'll say he's back. I mean, finally they got Kelsey going. Kelsey has been bad this season, but he had a good game. The rest of this division is just really weird. I mean, the Raiders are doing what They do every year. Like, start super well, then fade in the middle of the season. Not a surprise to anyone who's paid attention to them. The Chargers. I feel like the Chargers are better than 5-4, but they just keep. They lost to the Vikings today. I don't know what to think of that.
I feel like a point of emphasis on this Chargers team is they got to revamp that defense. I mean, Justin Herbert and the offense are, I believe they're doing as much as they can to get their team the stub, but their defense is just not as strong, and I feel like that's what lets them down.
Man, I hear you, but like, there's also everyone was all week on Twitter. I see people are like, "Whoa, Brandon Staley, analytics, knows everything. This guy is the real deal. This guy keeps kicking field goals on 4th and short. I thought the whole point was we're gonna go for it every time. He did that at the beginning of the season. Now he's kind of not doing it as much. I don't like that." Then the Broncos just sitting over here 5-5. Imagine getting wrecked by the Eagles. Couldn't be me.
Broncos are so bad, but like then they'll have like a random performance like they did last week against the Cowboys, and they're like they're just so weird.
Tell you my favorite team in the NFL right now, the Patriots. They blew out the Browns today. Mac Jones, the next great QB in the NFL right there. They got a nice squad. You better watch out for them in the playoffs.
I mean, you can't disregard their coach, Bill Belichick. He leads that amazing defense. He developed Mac Jones. They have the run game going, and they have the tougher part of the schedule coming up. And let's see how they'll do.
And they play at Atlanta this week. All right, easy win. Duh. Titans, they can beat the Titans at home. You still have to play the Bills twice, the Colts. Then they finish with the Jaguars and Dolphins. I mean, 7-4, 11-6. I can see them finishing 11-6 easily. I mean, could they even snag the division from the Bills?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
It's a possibility. It could be close, but I still see Buffalo ending up winning the division.
Yeah, probably by 1 win, though. It'll be close. Then Jets and Dolphins out here being irrelevant. The Dolphins have an easy part of the schedule coming up, so maybe they could get back to 500-ish, but they just started too badly to ever really come out of their shell. Worst division in the NFL this year is the AFC South. The Texans and Jaguars are irrelevant. Colts are at 500, but they've only been beating bad teams. Like, the Colts wins are against the Dolphins, Jaguars, Jets, 49ers, and one more.
Lions.
Oh, wow. Trash. Oh, wait, no. Texans. Oh, even
wait,
worse.
that was preseason.
Even worse. Yeah, so they can't beat any good teams. The Titans are over here 8-2. Everyone's hyping them up. Like, yeah, it's a good thing they've been winning even without Derrick Henry, but I fear that at the end of the season they're gonna collapse. I'm just not sold.
Probably. They're relying on like a very old Adrian Peterson.
That's
Fill that void. And for a team that ran as much as they did when Henry was healthy, I just don't know if it can hold up.
Yeah, I mean, they got no running game right now, but they got these random receivers going off because Julio's also injured. I don't understand it. It's a good thing for them. The AFC North. I find
Probably
that.
one of the best divisions in football.
Yeah, but it's weird because, like, just look at them. So the
They
Ravens are
all
6-3.
lost or tied this week, right?
Ravens are 6-3. They should be 7-2. I don't know
Yeah,
why
Cincinnati was on their bye.
I don't know why the Ravens lost to the Dolphins. Dolphins defense finally decided to show up, but that was kind of embarrassing from them. Steelers, like we talked about, tied with the Lions. They're on this little win streak, but they beat like the Broncos, the Seahawks without Russell Wilson, the Browns. That was good. The Bears with help from the refs, and then tied with the. But they're gonna have to go at Chargers, at Bengals versus Ravens, at Vikings versus Titans, at Chiefs versus Browns, and at Ravens. They're like, if you took each game by itself, it wouldn't be surprising if they lost every single one. They're gonna end up 8-1, aren't they?
Most likely. Tomlin's gonna keep his 500 record going.
The Bengals. I mean, it's like it's a good thing they already have 5 wins. I don't think people really expected that before the season began, but they also got a tough end to this season. The Browns are a bit disappointing. 5-5.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people thought they would be like a top team in the AFC.
They can get right back above 500. They play the Lions. Then they play Ravens, bye, and then Ravens again. Raiders, Packers, Steelers, Browns. I mean Bengals. It's a decent schedule, but if they can split with the Ravens, they can steal a game from the Steelers. 7, 8. They'd still need like 2 more wins. It would be hard for them to make the playoffs, actually. Kind of disappointing. Then, like we talked about in the NFC, it's like every division, NFC North and NFC East really seem wrapped up. Obviously, things can change. Teams can go on runs. Like, the Bears could totally win 8 in a row, and the Packers could totally kind of struggle down the stretch. They could still win the division, you know what I'm saying? And the Packers got a pretty hard schedule. They still play actually, not that hard.
Well, everyone
Ravens,
in our
Rams,
division has a hard schedule.
Bears, Packers, yeah. The only guaranteed wins we have are like, not even guarantees. The freaking Lions and Giants. Watch us choke one of those games. Ugh.
And if we play the Arizona Cardinals without Kyler Murray, no.
I'm sure Kyler will be back by then.
Yeah, Kyler will be back 100%.
But if he's not, I'm not opposed to playing against Colt McCoy, I have no problems with that. Man, we should be 4-5. This is ridiculous. Alright, whatever. NFC East, 3 teams with 6 losses, and then the Cowboys. Washington beat Tampa Bay today. That was fun. Taylor Heineke's powers against the Buccaneers get amplified by like 100%. He's always on fire against them.
Does playoff performance on this one? Washington football team is going to try and get the Buccaneers on the schedule like every year now.
I can't pinpoint exactly what went wrong with Tampa Bay. I mean, their past 2 games, they just haven't been themselves.
2 away games, 2 road games against teams with pretty good defenses. Interesting. Well, the Washington defense hasn't been good, but they're paid like they should be good, so.
On paper, pretty good.
I'll say for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts has been pretty solid. He hasn't been amazing, but he's been pretty good. like good enough to where they're gonna have 3 first-round picks in the top 20, but they might not want to spend it on a quarterback yet, especially because it's a weak quarterback class.
I agree. I think no. I 100% think they'd be forced to take a quarterback this year. Especially because like none of the quarterbacks in this class like wow me. I mean, like you might as well just take best like fit or best available with those 3 picks, and then just see what you have with Hurts again.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree. I mean, I feel like the Eagles should just take this year as a developing year. First year as a head coach for Nick Sirianni, and first year as a starter for Jalen Hurts in the NFL. So I feel like they should just move on from this year and continue to grow.
already matched their win number from last year, so that's good. Giants, they're the Giants. In New York's irrelevant. Just being honest here. We talked about the Rams being super team.
Philly like honestly, Philly can make the playoffs. They have the Saints, and they have the Giants, Jets, football
Holy
team,
crap,
Jets again, football team, and the Cowboys. So they can make the playoffs.
bro. Perks of being in the NFC East, man. This is not fair.
Right.
They could, oh my, like, if they could.
They could realistically like
wins.
get to what is it,
9 and 8,
7,
man.
or 9-8. Yeah.
9 and 8 is good enough to make the 7th seed. Damn, that's crazy. Thought they were dead after they started 1-3. They've been pretty solid.
Oh, what a Mickey Mouse schedule can do for you.
Exactly.
Cardinals have a hard stretch coming up. They just got rocked by the Panthers. They play at Seattle, at Chicago, versus Rams. Like, they could be like 9-4 after a 7-0 start. But then they end with the Lions, the Colts, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks at home. So I think they're gonna give up the division. I think the Rams are gonna end up stealing the division. But the Rams kind of have a tough schedule too. They play at Green Bay.
They probably just come down to that matchup head to head.
The Rams play at Green Bay and at Baltimore. At Minnesota too. So
I will say this, I think the AFC is full of a bunch of frauds. Whoever wins the NFC is probably going to win the Super Bowl.
NFC is top heavy. AFC is more spread out. Like AFC, there's no one I would specifically. AFC, it's like open to anyone, literally like anyone. NFC, you got the teams at the very top. You wouldn't pick like one of those middle teams to win. Whereas in the AFC, you might be able to justify picking one of those middle teams.
I agree.
Yeah, especially with the upsets we've had this season, especially this week too.
49ers and Seahawks, like we said, down there in the fight for the 6th and 7th seed. Haven't looked good at all this year, but we know they're more talented than their record, better than their team. Yeah, and then like teams that are better than their records. That's what's interesting to me. I think Chargers might be better than their record. They're 5-4, but I feel like they're better than that.
I agree.
The Browns 5-5. I feel like they're better than that. The Bears and Vikings. I feel like they're both better than their records. I mean, the Bears, obviously, we got a win stolen from us. The Vikings are the only team in the NFL that at some point in every single one of their games has led by a touchdown. So they keep choking games.
Interesting.
They're in every game. But yeah, that's the NFL midseason report. Now we move on to college football. We're winding down towards the end of the regular season, championship week, and then selection Sunday. And the only thing we're sure about is that Georgia is the best team in the country.
Barring a disaster, they're winning the national championship.
Yes, it would be an extreme upset if somehow they didn't win.
Hell is Michigan State versus Ohio State at 11 a.m.
Big noon kickoff.
So stupid, honestly. Like put the good game late. It's not
the primetime games. The primetime games on ABC this year have been all trash except the Penn State whiteout game.
Yeah, it's getting annoying.
I think this week's primetime game is probably Oregon versus Utah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not as bad, but come on.
That's the best one it's been.
I really don't get it. It's like they have good games. It's not like they don't have good games to put on. They just keep putting them on early. I want to spend my Saturday night watching them. So yeah, like we said, Georgia 10-0. They play some FCS team and then Georgia Tech, so 12-0 is basically guaranteed going into the SEC title game against most likely Alabama, unless they somehow lost their last two games. But Alabama's not, their usual selves this year. Bryce Young, he's the Heisman front runner, but the rest of the team, except their pass rush, is kind of not as good this year. I mean, they beat Florida. Florida is 5-5. They beat them by 2 earlier this year. LSU.
So they allowed 50 points to Sam. So
they played LSU. They only won by 6, and Max Johnson may be the worst quarterback in the country. The guy sucks. I mean, they haven't really beat, and the best team they played against, Texas A&M, they lost to. Oh, actually, no, they did beat Mississippi. I forgot about that. The second best team they played against, they lost to, so I don't know. Not inspiring a whole lot of confidence. Which is why it pisses me off that for some reason in the AP poll they're ranked number 2. And in the college football playoff rankings they're ranked number 2. They're not number 2.
Hey man, they get their due diligence. They've been 10-0. They've had great couple seasons,
They're 9-1.
They finally get back into the top 4.
They don't deserve it. Whatever. I mean, as long as Georgia beats them, if the committee tries to throw in 2-loss Alabama in the playoff, I'm gonna lose it. There would have to be a very specific scenario for that to happen. Cincinnati is 10-0. I mean, at this point, it's just with the way this season is.
Playoff committee wants Cincinnati to win 500-0 for them to make it into the top 4.
At this point, Cincinnati plays a couple pretty good teams before the end of the season. SMU and Houston. If they can beat those two, finish 13-0, they should be in. I think they should be in. Just throw them in at the 4 seed, like Colors. I have to give one group of 5 team a chance. But then again, actually, you could also throw in UTSA. UTSA deserves to be in the top 4. Undefeated teams all should be in the top 4. I saw this weird, the ESPN College Football Twitter, tweeted something today. They were chance to make college football playoff, right? So it's Georgia 96%, Alabama 64%, Notre Dame 60%. What the hell?
I promise you, if Notre Dame makes it into the playoff, that will be like outraged.
I do not want Notre Dame in the playoff. They're not
Hey,
good.
come on. Respect my team.
No, they're not good. And if Notre Dame at 11-1 somehow made it in over Cincinnati, even if Cincinnati got only one loss, like everyone on the committee should be fired. There's no reason for them to make it over Cincinnati when they lost to Cincinnati at home.
Notre Dame, like, literally.
Notre Dame's schedule isn't even good. Like,
That's what gives us the edge. Come on.
no, like, what is this?
What does that even mean?
They barely won at Florida State. They barely beat Toledo. They beat Purdue. Okay, that's decent. They beat Wisconsin. Okay, that's decent. Lost to Cincinnati. They barely beat Virginia Tech. They suck. They beat USC and UNC. They both suck. They beat Navy. Navy sucks. They beat Virginia. Virginia sucks. Now they play Georgia Tech and Stanford. Both those teams suck too. If you're going to complain about Cincinnati having an easy schedule, Notre Dame's had an easy schedule too.
I think, if anything, Cincinnati has. If anything, Notre Dame has had an easier schedule.
If they end up putting Notre Dame in the top 4, I would say Notre Dame number 4, Cincinnati 3. Just because Cincinnati beat us.
I mean, it still depends on winning. So Cincinnati, I mean, they're undefeated right now, but they're not guaranteed to finish undefeated. Like it was, like I was saying, SMU. You still have to play SMU and Houston. SMU is really good. Houston is also top 25. So that would help pad their resume a little bit at least, but not a guaranteed win. Alabama has to play Arkansas and Auburn before playing Georgia, as long as they win both those games. So, I mean, like, they'll probably beat both those teams, help make them look better, but they're not beating Georgia. Nothing I've seen can convince me they're going to beat Georgia. Well, nothing convinced me any team will beat Georgia, but, you know, that's the point. What other teams are there? Ohio State, they've looked like the best team in the Big Ten. They have to undefeated in the Big Ten. Obviously, they lost to Oregon, but they have to beat both Michigan State and Michigan. They play Michigan State at home, and they play at Michigan.
They'll probably make that Ohio State versus Michigan game 11 a.m. game too.
Well, that one is different because, like, it's always been 11 a.m. But, like, the rest, I don't understand why they don't schedule for night. It's just tradition for that one to be late game. I mean, I think Ohio State will beat Michigan State. I know Michigan State's got Kenneth Walker and all, but I don't think they're great outside of Kenneth Walker. I think they're good, they're not great. Whereas Ohio State, like, Michigan State's not stopping Ohio State. Whereas I think Michigan would have a decent chance to actually rush the passer and stop Ohio State. I think Ohio State will be Michigan State, and then the Ohio State-Michigan game is going to be the closest we've seen since 2016. When that was
Michigan can get it done.
Yeah, that was the double overtime game where, you know, as some people I know say JT Barrett was short, but it was pretty clear he crossed the line, but, you know, whatever you guys say. Other teams that are trying to make it. Honestly, I think I picked Michigan a couple months ago too. I think I'll stick with that prediction. even though Ohio State's looked really good. I can't remember what it was.
Where are they ranked at the moment?
Ohio State?
Oh, Michigan.
Oh, Michigan was ranked ahead of Michigan State for some reason. And everyone was like, what the hell? They literally just lost to them. Which was funny. So we'll see what the playoff ranking says this week. AP poll, they're still behind Michigan State. They're number 8. The last teams that really have a chance to make it are Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. They're probably going to be 10-1, and then they're going to play back-to-back games. So Bedlam, which is their rivalry game, and then they'd play again in the
championship.
Big 12 championship, yeah. If they split the games, neither makes it. If one team wins both of them, that gives them...
Then maybe.
They could honestly be thrown in ahead of Cincinnati. Or Oregon. Oregon, I mean... Would you rather say, let's say, 12-1 Oklahoma State or 12-1 Oregon? Let's say one Big Ten team, one Georgia, and then Cincinnati. And then they're like, okay, we'll take Cincinnati. We have to cut either Oregon or Oklahoma State. Both 12-1. Oklahoma State lost at Iowa State. Oregon lost at Stanford. But Oregon has a better win at Ohio State. Oklahoma State's best win is against Oklahoma. I don't know. It gets tough there. So I want to see the chaos.
Georgia somehow loses. They slide down to a 3.
No, that's not a possibility.
Honestly, I think Georgia could lose to Alabama. I think Georgia could lose to Alabama and they'd still be the 1 seed.
No, it wouldn't happen. They would definitely be 2. Like, what you're saying is not possible. They would definitely be dropped to 2. But I think like they have enough leeway where they're definitely gonna make the playoff, basically no matter what.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the closest game they're gonna end up playing was against Clemson, neutral field week 1. Against Clemson, neutral field week 1. Clemson could still end up like 9-3. They'll probably end up 8-4, but 9-3 is pretty good, considering the crap they dealt with this year.
Just so odd that Clemson not be good.
Yeah, I know. But I do think in the end we'll have Georgia. Jesus, who else? Oh yeah, I just saw that the Bulls finished their win, 100-90. Get wrecked, Cavs. Guys,
I'm gonna cry. Come on, dude. How you
take a shot at the Cavs. Come on.
I don't know.
I'm just playing the Clippers.
I just felt like
leave Evan Mobley alone.
Evan Mobley's good. Evan Mobley is a great
Evan Mobley is the best player in the league.
Rookie of the year very easily. This is Zach looking. Oh, and Kobe White comes back tomorrow? We're unstoppable.
Well, he's going to be limited. Maybe 10 minutes.
Still gonna win. I think that about wraps us up for today.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention Cam Newton back. That's lit. lead the Panthers to the Super Bowl.
Can you imagine?
That'd be a dream.
Closing remarks. Once the Cavaliers beat the Celtics tomorrow, we will be ahead of the Bulls.
No, beating the Celtics is nothing to get excited about.
Being the Celtics when you come back from down 19 is... I mean, you still don't have half of your team. Kevin Love, Larry Markin, and Colin Sexton. Dog, the Celtics got closed out by a lineup that involved Jetty Osman and Denzel Valentine. Like, they should be demoted to the G League for that.
Denzel Valentine. Oh, man.
This bust.
So funny. Denzel Valentine is so trash. Everyone should have known he was going to be a bust as soon as his Michigan State team lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
True.
I think we're ready to wrap up, though.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next week.